Hello everybody, it is Carly here bringing you another video. This one's probably going to be pretty short because I don't have much here, but figured it's been a minute since I've made a video, so I would jump on here and show you guys some VHS I picked up recently, all off of Etsy actually, which I never even knew Etsy really let you sell. I thought it was all like artsy stuff, which it mainly is, you know, stuff that arts and crafts, things people make themselves and sell, but there's also, you know, it can be used like eBay in a way too, where people just sell merchandise and whatnot. And the other day was apparently National VCR Day, so I figured I would take that as an excuse to buy some VHS. Not only that, but I recently got a few old CRT TVs or whatever. Yeah, I got one that has the VHS player in it, VCR if you will, and it works pretty darn good. So I've been enjoying watching that in my living room. I have one in my bedroom. I also bought this really tiny one, I forget what it's called exactly, but it's like one of those it's like a portable one basically, and it's also doubles as a radio, and it works as well, and you can plug a VCR into it. I keep looking over there because I have it over there. Let me see if I can, let's see, ignore the bags, but yes, there it is displayed. That's my work stuff and a pile of bags and whatnot. Ignore that. But anyway, so yeah, without further ado, I picked up 6 movies. I was just kind of going through Etsy. Different people sell, you know, different bulk ones and stuff like that. So I was just going through different people's postings and seeing what they had, and if it seemed like something I wanted, I grabbed it. All these are like under $5. I wasn't going to spend anything crazy, but like I said, I got 6 here, so I'm just going to go through. First up, we actually have The Birds 2, Land's End. I believe this was a TV movie from 1991, I think, or 4. I think it's 91. I don't know. 91 or not, 94, 1994. I watched this for when I did the 22 shots top 10 for 94, and I enjoy it. I think it's a solid little TV Birds movie. It has some decent, you know, bloody effects and stuff in it. You do have Tippi Hedren in this that I looked up, and it said that she said it was a dreadful experience, but I mean, she's still good in it. It's not just like a little walk-on role and then goodbye. She does play a part in it, which I appreciate. And yeah, I think it's decent. You know, not the best acting, kind of silly plot points and stuff going on. Very TV movie-esque. But I always like the seaside setting, and that's what you get here, like the little small town, sort of like Jaws, or, you know, the original Birds, of course. But this is taking place, I think, on the East Coast, where the Birds takes place on the West Coast, if I'm not mistaken. But I have a fun time with it. You know, it's not, you know, if you're looking at it as a sequel to Alfred Hitchcock's classic, then I could see, like, being like, oh, this sucks. But I really don't even think it's, like, you know, it has, like, a 3 out of 10 on IMDb, which I think is kind of harsh. But I have a fun time with it, whatever. And I do have the first Bird, so I like to have, it's cool to have, like, you know, the Birds 1 and 2 on tape. So yeah, that. Next up, I picked up Valentine. This is a early 2000s slasher movie, of course, set on Valentine's Day. I believe it's 2001. But this one's nostalgic for me. It's one I grew up with watching. When I was a kid, I never even, like, realized, I don't think I really processed, like, the different eras of slashers. Like, you know, I would watch one from the 90s, 80s, 2000s, and not really even think about them being in different time periods. This one especially, I like it because it feels old school. Like, you have this bullied nerd at the beginning who gets humiliated, and then he kind of loses his mind a little bit, and then, you know, later on, these people grow up, and they're kind of getting harassed by somebody who they think might be that kid from the beginning, and you see that a lot in 80s slashers, and I thought it was a cool callback to that. So I actually, you know, I think this is decent. Of course, it has, like, the supermodel-esque actors in it, floating heads, all that Scream era stuff, but very nostalgic for it. I always watched it growing up, and I still enjoy it, so figured I would grab that one. And yeah, I watched it the other day and had a good time. Next up, this was actually a mistake. And that is American Werewolf in Paris. Yeah, when clicking through on Etsy, basically it'll show like, you know, someone's pile of movies, and then you go under and it'll have all the titles that are still available, and the ones that aren't available are kind of like, you know, etched out. But all it said, because I looked back too to make sure I didn't get gypped, and all it really said was an American Werewolf. It didn't say where that American Werewolf was, so I assumed it was London, but it's not. It's Paris. And I've heard this is pretty garbage, I think, for most people, so yeah, we'll see. Just the cover doesn't really give me good vibes. It has a very cheap look to it, but yeah, I've never seen this one before, never really had any interest, but we'll check it out. I mean, I'm curious. I didn't own it, obviously, so whatever, at least it's not like a repeat buy, but I'll see what it's all about. Maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't. We shall see. Then after that, we have Needful Things. This is based off of a Stephen King book, I believe, and yeah, Stephen King. I've never seen it before. It seemed to have an interesting plot, though, to me. Seemed very classic Stephen King. And the person I bought it off was like, oh, it's such a great, you know, adaptation and stuff like that. So definitely curious on this one. I think it's pretty long. Yeah, it's 120 minutes, so it's 2 hours exactly, but yeah, always been curious on it. I like the looks of this cover, definitely, so I think I'll enjoy this one overall, so definitely excited for that one. Next up we have Amityville A New Generation. Now this is honestly my least favorite of the Amityville sequels. Well, not really. I don't like part 3. I find pretty lame. This one I've only seen once, so I'd have to watch it again to see if I still feel the same way. But when I got the Vinegar Syndrome, is that who put those out? I think, yeah. Box set with like the 4 Amityville random sequels. This is one of them in it, and it was the one I had the least good of a time with, but I figured I would pick it up. I think I have part 1, and I can't see them from here, but I think I have part 1 and 2 on VHS. So again, I'm just like a sucker for collecting tapes, like the series, you know, the franchise of movies on tape. I think it looks cool on the shelf, so grab this. This is actually a screener copy. Yeah, it says it right there. And the guy on Etsy actually messaged me and said, hey, I forgot to mention this was a screener. Do you still want it? And I said, yeah, I don't really care. So yeah, I have a screener of Amityville New Generation on VHS, and that's that. Then lastly here we have The Hitcher 2. I've been waiting. Yeah, The Hitcher. I've always enjoyed The Hitcher growing up. I really like road horror. I really like the desert setting and the loneliness of it, and yeah, stuff like that. When I first watched The Hitcher back in the day, I ended up falling madly in love with C. Thomas Howell in that movie, and that translated to him older, even though he did not age too well. But so it made me want to check out all his movies, and it turns out he did a lot of really shitty movies, like in the 80s, 90s, like pretty much after the late 80s, he kind of fell off and was doing a lot of bad, like direct-to-video movies or Lifetime-esque movies, or just rip-offs of good movies of the genre, like Fatal Attraction, stuff like that. But then you had The Hitcher 2 from 2003, and I wanted to watch it both for him and for the fact that I like the first Hitcher. I put it in the other night and kind of fell asleep while watching it, and yeah, it's not great. Like, I think the dialogue in it is pretty weak. The plot is kind of ridiculous. And, you know, I think the acting's decent for what it is. You got Jake Busey, of all people, playing the Hitcher in this one. I think he hams it up. I think he does his part well, you know, like he's trying to do a good job, even though it's not a great film. But still, though, it has like that deserted desert setting and cat and mouse type thing that I enjoy. But overall, it is pretty weak. You didn't really need a sequel like 17 years later, I believe. So, not great, but again, I have The Hitcher on VHS, so I wanted part 2, and now I have part 2. So yeah, guys, it doesn't take much to make me happy. That will do it. yeah, I just read The Shining and finished it, and that's quite different from the movie, which everyone kind of knows that. So I'll probably do a video here comparing it to the movie, even though there's really no, it's hard to compare they're very different entities, or their own kind of thing going on. But that'll probably be my next video, and then, you know, I'll probably have some more haul videos down the line. But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.